Alright, today I'm just gonna rebuild my 3SGTE block with new timing belt, seals, water pump, pulleys, reusing the old ones, and then just changing all the gaskets on it, whatever I need. Everything, all my torque spec is based on a 1995 MR2 repair manual, which has a 3SGTE block, and this is a 3SGTE. It's a Gen 5, but I'm converting it to a Gen 4 because the Gen 5 is rarely available and it's cheap right now, and I use it for my track car, so it is a spare block for me. If I blow it, it blows up. It doesn't matter. I don't really care. I'm not a mechanic whatsoever, and it is for informational only. This is how I've done it on my past vehicles, and it's been working fine for me so far. So take this information as you please. I'm not responsible for anything you take from this. So I hope this helped. Pulley remover, 8mm by 125. Pulleys up. Now you remove all the 10mm bolt for the timing cover. Remember where they go. Don't lose these spacers in here. Crank sensor is down here. Timing belt spacer guide. Put the motor in the top dead center. When the cam mark hit the top valve cover, top dead center, make sure you match it with the crank gear in the bottom as well. I also put a little stick or a 1/4 inch extension. If it goes all the way up, it means that the piston is hitting the top. So this thing is really off. Okay, so this motor is really off. The mark's right here on this guy, and it's over here. And the crank sensor is right here where the mark is. So this Gen 5 is pretty off, so you gotta line it up straight. So right now we're gonna move the timing belt. Remove the tensioner first. Remove this guide pin right here. if the crank gear is hard to come out, I believe these are 5mm bolt attached to the pulley. So right now we move all the stuff that you want to replace. I'm going to replace the crank seal, the oil pump seal, and the body housing, the water pump, and the cam seal. Be careful with this fill up, okay? Don't strip that. If you strip it, you gotta get out with the easy out or drill it out. So I just use an impact gun and then just push it in really hard. So the next step is very by personal preference. You can buy this cam seal, crank seal puller where it sticks in here on both sides. And this piece go in the middle of the pulley and you just twist it and it pop out the seal. But how I usually do it, since you don't want to spend the money on this cam seal removal kit, I just use a screwdriver. But that's just me though. Be careful not to damage the camshaft or the crankshaft. You don't want to scratch anything, so just be very careful with it. So make sure you don't scratch anything, just clean all the dirt. Same thing with the crank seal. behind this water pump housing, there's an O-ring right here that a lot of guys, they forget to change. So I'm gonna show you replace that. And just clean out the spot very well. Long, 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 short, short. These two are short. And be careful when you pull it out. See this gear right here? It goes like that. And this is what you want to replace. This gasket right here. Alright, here are the brand new gasket from Toyota. Crank, cam, cam. Here's the body, the oil pump. And here's the seal for the pulley. And then this is the rear main seal for the other side of the tranny. Make sure you clean everything out really good. When you put them on, just trying to put some oil on here so it's nice and smooth when it slide in. All right, this next step is putting in the seals. What I do is I just find stuff that fits on here perfectly, and then just put the seal over it, and I get this bolt so it's nice and perfect. You push it in by hand as well. Perfect. Go to Home Depot and find some PVC pipe that fit the size of the crank, and then put the other end, just drill a big hole for it, for the crank nut can go in here, and then you just slide it in so nice and perfect. All right, for the oil pump, the big O-ring, it's a little difficult. Just make sure to line everything up so it doesn't slip off. Later, I'm gonna retorque all this again. Apply lube. I also went to Home Depot and get some PPC pipe that fits perfectly to this thing. And the reason why I didn't change the back, the big the oil pump gasket, the bottom end never been it haven't been touched yet because it's a Gen 5, so it's a pretty new motor, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna blow this motor before I even worry about that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's gonna go into my track car, so I'm gonna abuse it pretty bad. So I don't care if it blows up or not. The next step is the water pump and the water pump housing. Make sure you clean everything very well. Same thing with this side. And now's a good time for you to paint this thing. I just keep it the way it is because I don't really need to. Just clean it out very well. And what you always want to use is a metal water pump gasket. Okay, not those cheap paper ones. So this is metal. And when you get the O-ring in here first from Toyota. Looks good. So it goes like this. And sometimes they give you the Phillips screwdriver that we took out earlier and pack it out. I went out and got the 6mm with the Allen head on it. It's a lot stronger. So it's snug. Make sure the O-ring's still on there. So earlier when you took out the 6mm bolt, it's long and short. So here's that long one. So it goes into the block. And again, I'm gonna torque it again later. And this right here is for the AC bracket. All right, to recap, to press in the seal again is just get anything that's round and just make it like the perfect size for it. There's like a little slide here, so you push in the top first and then you slowly press it in. So I use a 36mm socket. It's a perfect size for it. Went to Home Depot. Jay rigged some PCP pipe. That's perfect size for the crank seal. Same thing for the oil pump pulley. You don't have to. You can push it by hand. It goes in easily. And then this one is for the rear main seal, which is perfect size for it later on when I push it in with the cap. And then same thing with the axle. So this is for the E153. It's a cap that I just kind of hit it in. And then this is for the passenger side, E153, driver side. And then this one I use for the NA, the S54, which is perfect size for it so you don't miss anything. Alright, so the next step is the water pump torquing. So you want to go in sequence is the middle, bottom, top at 69 inch-pound. And then this nut right here is 20 foot-pound. So it's 69 inch-pound, 1, 2, 3, and this one is 20 foot-pound. Since I'm not running an AC bracket, I'm going to put a bolt right there as well. One, two, three. 4. And 20 foot-pound for this one. Let's double check it again. So 3/8 torque wrench, 1/4 torque wrench. All right, the next step is torquing down the oil pump, which is 69 inch-pound, 69 inch-pound, okay? So just re-torque everything. I like to cross them as well. And then double check all the other ones. And just go one more round. All right. Earlier I forgot to torque down this Allen key bolt that I replaced with instead of this Phillips 69 inch-pound. That's it. All right. Next, I'm replacing the backing plate. Just put it back. I'm just turning it to 69 inch-pound like the other ones. Trying to bend this back, it's a little bent. Alright, next is I'm going to install the lower idler pulley. Foot-pound right here. And the lower idler says 32 foot-pound. This one you could reuse since it's pretty good for me, so I'm going to reuse it. Usually you want to replace it, but since this is my track car, and it looks pretty good, so I'm just going to reuse it. And I'm just gonna, this is just my personal preference, just for me. Just a little bit of the blue Loctite, just in case. It's 32 foot-pound. 31, 32. Alright, next is the upper idler pulley for the timing belt tensioner. You want to look at this one, 38 foot-pound. So 38 foot-pound for that. And when you put them back, make sure there's a washer behind it. And I use blue Loctite in this one as well. And you want to use a 10mm Allen key. And then 38 foot-pound. And then next part is the cam gear. Cam gear says 43 foot-pound. And then I'm gonna Loctite as well. And then the star means is for use with SST. Don't know what that means, but I'm gonna go with the 43 foot-pound. And also make sure the pin line up with the gear. Make sure there's a pin in here. It's easy to come off. I'm just gonna put just a little bit of the blue Loctite. That's just me though. And obviously you can't torque it because nothing is holding it back for you. So later when I assemble the timing belt, I'm gonna hold it and then torque it up here. Now usually for my personal cars, my personal like daily driver, I would replace everything. But since my track car and eventually I'm gonna blow up the motor, I just reuse all the old parts from the Gen 5. This is a Gen 5 block, but I'm using the Gen 4 like components, like electronic, the intake manifold, exhaust manifold, and the valve cover. This one looks pretty good. I did the floor testing where I push it down with both hands and it doesn't want to move. So I could reuse this. Just save myself some money. And then to press this in, you gotta use a big vise and just kind of like squish it in and guide it in with a pin while it goes straight through. The next step is installing the tensioner itself. I put the pin through here, so when I pull it, the thing's gonna pop up. And the time belt tensioner, the torque is 15 foot-pound for the tensioner. Next is the oil pump pulley. It says 26 foot-pound, but since nothing is holding it, once the timing belt's on, I'm gonna torque it down using the timing belt as tension. You see the flat groove right here? There's a flat groove. Make sure you match it up with the pulley. Make sure everything's doesn't make any noise. Looks good. The next step is installing the timing belt itself. Here's the original Gen 4, Gen 5 timing belt. Also fit Gen 3 as well. And then here's the aftermarket, some other Japanese brand by Sun. If you notice, this don't have any marking on them. Okay, but if you look at the Toyota one, they do have marking on them. And then these two right here is for the cam. Gonna match up here. Make sure this dot right here on the cam gear itself matches up with the timing belt. And then down here, this one is the crank marking. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this exactly, so that way it's perfectly lined up. And I just install back the cam gear, the crank. Use a rubber hand. So if you look closely, that's the marking for the crank gear. And up here, this is supposed to match up with this piece right here. So it's kind of off right now. Later, when I put a time belt, it's gonna be nice and perfect. Same thing with this one. So the belt that came off was already in whack. So right now I'm just lining up the gear with the valve cover marking. The best way for me to mark the aftermarket timing belt was to count the first line, which is this groove right here, 18 groove. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The 18th one is right here. So that's why I marked that one. And from here to the next line is 63 on the 63rd one. So from here to here, 18. Here to here, 18 perfectly. 63 tooth. Or when you line it up, all three spot, it should be nice and perfectly. So 1, 2, and down here. Alright, when everything's lined up, the markings go there, the markings there, and the marking down here. It all line up. Just spin it 2 times or so. Spin it a couple times. Alright, here's the marking. Line up with the top. Marking. Line up with the top valve cover. Marking. The crank gear. There's a little dot right here. So it lined up pretty good. So that's perfect. So next what you want to do is remove the pin from the tensioner. And then save this pin for next time. And I want to double check again, so perfect. Marking, line up with the valve cover. Marking, line up with the valve cover. Marking, the dot, line up with the valve cover. So, looks pretty good to me. So the next step for me was to torque down the two cam gear bolt and then the oil pump gear bolt. So 43 for the cam gear and then 26 for the oil pump pulley. Okay. For me to hold while I'm torquing it, so I just shoot in the crank pulley so I can hold it in place. 19 mil. While I torque in 43 foot-pound. And then 26 for the oil pump pulley. that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna double check again. Lined up, all right. Perfect. All right, the timing belt, water pump, and all the main gaskets been replaced. All right, next step is just put all the timing cover and all that stuff back in. So here's the guide for the timing belt, or the guard, or whatever it's called. I go about 60 inch-pound on this one. 69. And then the crank sensor. Just clean out very good. Make sure there's no damage on the wires, because it's going to be a pain in the butt when you replace this when it's on the car. It happened to me twice, where the crank sensor was failing. You never know. And it's a pain in the butt when it's on the car. So, put the guide in. Okay. The lower cover, and don't lose the spacers. Okay. It's a long bolt right here. So long, short, 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 short. Don't overshoot it, because you're gonna crack it. Crank sensor coming next. Alright, and it's the top cover, because the other one was broken, so I replaced it. And that's it. That's pretty much how you replace the timing belt and all the main seals, water pump, oil pump, pulley gaskets, and that's it. I hope this helped you guys.